And I showed this video. It's a bit distracting because of the hysterical commentary by the guy who took the video. But take a look, and it is dramatic, but I'm afraid the voiceover is a little bit too much. But take a look anyways.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God! No! No! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus! Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus! Oh, no! Oh, God, he's got a gun! Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, God! He's got a gun! He's got a gun! Oh, God! Oh, my God! Oh, no! Oh, God!
Now that is quite something, but can I say a few things to you about it? And then can I play it back to you again without that guy screaming over the top of it? I'll play it back silently. I think that screamer at first thought that the car was coming to ram into the protesters on the street, like what happened in Charlottesville in 2017. Someone rammed their car into the crowd and killed someone. He was convicted of murder. So maybe that was on the mind of the cell phone commentator this time. It's true the car speeds up, but then it immediately slows down and stops, and it didn't hit anyone. Didn't ram anyone, not at all. People bolt out of the way, which is a good instinct if you're standing on a road, but a handful of people actually chase the car, and then there's the guy who puts a small gate or barricade in front of the car to stop it, and the car stops anyways. He doesn't ram his way through. So watch it again without the noise. Car speeds up, but then slows down and stops. People start to mob the car. Look at the smashing the car itself then, someone on the right side of the car smashing it, someone on the left side, car reaching into it, and then that guy falling back shot, and then the driver gets out and immediately goes into the crowd. Watch one more time without the sound. Okay, so was the driver of the car a good guy or a bad guy? What would you do if your car was mobbed by violent people? Blocked illegally on a road, smashed, you were grabbed. Would you just enjoy becoming another anonymous victim of these riots? What would you do if you had a gun? And these are tough questions. There's a race hustler named Shaun King. I don't know if you know about him. He's actually white in a weird Rachel Dolezal way. He claims to be black. He's as white as me. Just saying. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being white, but he claims to be a black activist. He writes as if he's a black activist. He is white. And look what he wrote about this. He said, Seattle, tonight, this man in the black car, a known white supremacist, was clearly planning to run protesters in Seattle over. People filming saw it unfolding. He then shoots a man, gets out of the car, brandishing his gun. Was he clearly planning to run protesters over? Sort of looks like the opposite. He sped up and then immediately slowed down when people didn't get out of the way anymore. It sort of looks like he was clearly planning to not run protesters over. He did shoot a man, yes, a man who was reaching into his car. And he did brandish a gun, but is he really a known white supremacist? Known by whom? Known as what? What was this white supremacist's name? Who knew this knowing? Who knew? Does Shaun King know? He doesn't seem to know. How could he know if he didn't know a name? Do you think there's a chance he, just made that part up? Well, I don't know, but then I saw this close-up of the man emerging from the car. Doesn't look like a white supremacist to me, does he? Doesn't look white. Looks darker than Shaun King. Did Shaun King just make that up to get some clicks and to stoke his narrative as to who was really doing the violence in these protests? Here's the Seattle newspaper. They actually named the guy. He was arrested and charged with assault. His name is Nikolas Fernández. He's Latino. He was released on $150,000 bail. I haven't heard any other rioters who had to make bail. They're just all released, if they're even arrested. But this guy had big bail to post. Here's how he was described. I think this was a police statement reported in the newspaper. A male aggressively approached the barrier that was keeping people away from the East Precinct building, breached the barrier, and yelled to officers, "I just had to shoot somebody. They tried to jack my car." Okay, so not only was he not running away and hiding, but he was actively seeking out police. He aggressively approached the police. I guess he did look aggressive and agitated. He had just had his car mobbed, and he just shot a guy in the arm. He was going to be okay, it turns out, but he was aggressively turning himself in and confessing, "I just had to shoot somebody. They tried to jack my car." As in hijack it, yeah? I think that's what we saw, wasn't it? Well, that changes the narrative. He's not a white supremacist. He's not white. He says they tried to hijack his car, which we pretty much saw for ourselves. He didn't go on a shooting spree or a smashing spree or any spree. He was aggressively looking for the cops to turn himself in and get help from the mob, I think. And of course, he's being charged. No worried about charges for the mob that attacked him in his car, including the guy he shot. But that tweet from Shaun King calling him a known white supremacist, it's still up on Twitter right now. The lie is still up, as it is 1,000 other places on the internet. Hey, what would you have done if your car was swarmed and attacked? You were just driving on a road and you made a wrong turn and there was a mob there and you tried to speed away and you slowed down. What would you have done? And what would you have done if you had a gun? And would your answer change if you had your kids in the car with you? This guy didn't, but might it change it one way or the other? And what's my point? Well, my point is this. You've now seen life in a place where the police are abolished. Now, they weren't quite abolished there in Seattle at that moment, but almost. The mob controlled the streets. They swarmed a car on the street, started to smash it. They tried to mete out some mob justice on the car, and he got rougher with them. He brought a gun to a smashing fight. Now he'll be judged in the court. I don't think a real jury would convict him, but I think maybe the jury these days in some parts of the U.S. are really made up of the street mob. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.